Quitting is scary, but losing my mind is much worse. I know we always say we can do this and we encourage ourselves to be positive in life. But I do believe that each one of us has our own way of coping mechanism, and we have our own ways of assessing things, if it's worth continuing or not. And the more you have that awareness, the more you spend time with yourself, evaluating your feelings and developing awareness with your environment and what you're currently experiencing is a gift. This video, I'm gonna talk about why I quit my nursing job, and I've never been happier. Never been happier. Okay, story time. My favorite part. I got my nurse registration here in Australia back in 2023, and then I started working in aged care as a registered nurse because I really don't want to work at the hospital. Mind you, I haven't really tried working in aged care before. This is my very first time. I know, and I was told that it's more stressful and I need to have more skills when it comes to management and supervising the floor, which I had the experience back then when I was in the Middle East as a COVID nurse, but this time it's much more different. So as an aged care nurse, I'll give you the picture. You go to work and you manage the entire floor. So in there, we call our patients residents. So we have aged people living in this facility. And I tell you, they're not just 10, they're not 15, they're not 20, but there are 45 to 50 residents. And yes, you're managing all of them. Apart from the staffing, the incidents, the complaints, I learned a lot. I learned to be flexible. I learned to humble myself and learn the things that I haven't learned before as a nurse. And I learned to sharpen my leadership skills. I became more aware with the needs of geriatrics or old people. I've developed my passion in serving the people that I wanted to serve, and I love being exposed with the elderly people because they're genuine and they don't really require much except your time and genuine affection as a registered nurse. This company was starting to get tricky because my management doesn't really want to pay or hire somebody as replacement for the ones who fall in sick or the ones who went for holiday. And so us people on the floor is expected to work for 2 to 3 people job, which is kind of unfair. And there was a time when there wasn't much registered nurse on duty and they couldn't really find anyone. I used to have a permanent floor, which is level 3, but since we are very short staffed and most nurses doesn't want to work in the other floor, I became flexible and I learned to to help out across all floors. I go to level 2, to dementia unit, to level 1, to ground floor, and I met amazing and very responsible carers at work. But beyond the wonderful experience and wonderful team, I also experienced extreme burnout, because when you wanted to give everything for the people you're serving, you keep on giving your time, your energy, your effort. You try to resolve things as much as you can, but you don't have enough management support. It gets very tricky to the point where you have nothing left. I was also told by my clinical manager that there's no permanent floors anymore, so every RN has to say yes in helping other floors, which is fair. Until I realized that one day the rest of senior nurses who was there before me in that company are still on the same floor, managing the same thing. And when you're a registered nurse, it's very tricky, because imagine you are caring for a lot of people, a very huge number, and you are assigned to other floors you're not familiar with. You're not familiar with the people, you're not familiar of their clinical care, you're not familiar of their ways, how they eat, how they talk, you're not familiar with the family, you're not familiar with the environment. It's good to be flexible, it's good to see new things and go out of your comfort zone, but if it's always happening to you and not to other people, that's considered bias to me. And yeah, I was continuing the job for nearly 1 year, and I've sought advice from my therapist, my family, and my partner, and they've always been very supportive. They've taught me how to be more grateful with my life, with my job, and it's like that every day. I talk to some of my colleagues. We are sharing the same burden every time. It's sickening. And one day I realized it's not normal to encourage yourself to stay positive in an environment where it's all full negative. Eventually my body started giving me warning signs, and when I say warning signs, it's the danger signs that you can't really go unnoticed. There was one time when I started, this would be hard to say, I started losing my hair. I go to shower and then brush my hair, and then I see a couple of hair strands, and I thought that was normal, but then it kept on happening every day. More hairs, more strands on the floor, on the kitchen, on the bed. It's scary. Until I started to see a small spot, a bald spot here in front, and it was getting worse to the point where it's this big. Was it okay? No. It affected the way I've been seeing myself and my self-confidence have depleted tremendously. Apart from that, I've been experiencing early bleeds before my menstrual cycle, and I was like, that's a bit unusual. I have my regular menstrual cycle, my period, but it's not normal when you see it early on and it stays longer. I've also been dealing with a lot of palpitations before going to work, and I get so anxious if, what if I think about situations like, what if we are short staffed again? I will have to survive again, and it's always that survival mode that it's deafening and killing me, to the point where we're so busy I couldn't even drink water. Which is ironic, because us health professionals, we always say, oh, drink your water, drink healthy foods, but we're not even doing that to ourselves, because one, we're so busy even to drink water. Two, we don't have much time to cook food because we're so tired from work, or we just want something quick for us to go back to working again after taking a break. And the worst part is, I've noticed that I've been so irritated that I snapped every time, every minor talk with people and my partner, I snapped, because I didn't know that unexpressed feelings and emotions, if you suppress it, it triggers, and sometimes they glow up and sometimes they show up. And yeah, that was the most difficult part of my life, because I wasn't sleeping properly. I have lots of eye bugs. Yeah, my mom would tell me, like, hey, have you been sleeping well? You look very tired and you're losing weight. And there's a lot of obvious physical signs which I ignored at first, but I wish I could have seen it early on, but apparently I didn't, and I thought I can get away with it. It felt like my body starts to disconnect and my mind and spirit starts to float. I don't know if that's a good description. But yeah, that's how worst I felt. And so that's when I decided to quit. What's next after quitting? It took me probably 3 weeks to fully recover. I was still traumatized after resigning, because whenever I see an aged care facility, my heart starts to palpitate again, and I get scared, and I don't wanna move closer. I don't want to be close to any facility, and I don't want to hear anything that related to the previous job. It took me a bit of time to recover, but then I was encouraging myself to heal at my own pace, to acknowledge my feelings, and to nourish my body and give the the things that it's needing, like proper food, proper hydration, proper sleep, proper exercise, proper me time, proper watching Netflix, proper chats with people, proper conversation with my family. The things that I wasn't enjoying back then, I was doing now. And so what's next is I'm now craving for a slow and happy pace lifestyle. That's probably the reason why I've started YouTube. It's a blessing in disguise. I never imagined I will be able to tell you guys my story, but here we are. And I'm so proud of myself for quitting. I can't imagine. Don't lose your mind. The money is not worth it. Life is short and it's not worth it. You can't just treat your body like a machine or robot, because you're not. You have limitations. You need rest. You need proper food. You need to enjoy life. You have to have a work and life balance. You deserve to wake up early, not feeling anxious or depressed. You deserve to go to work with good mindset. You deserve to be treated well. My takeaway for you is don't just actually survive. Learn to live and be present, because life is short and you don't know what's happening tomorrow. Because might as well be ambitious and have a good mental state. As always, I'm here to remind you to take care of this one, because if this goes wrong, we can't really achieve everything we wanted. That's it for me. I hope you get a dash of hope and inspiration from my story. Until then, I'll see you soon. Much love.